Jesus gets down now. Okay. All right, so to recap, we've done a lot of things this morning, but I want to just recap what we've done. In the morning, we started off talking about updating an event and persisting that. For the last week, we persisted a lot of objects, but we persisted like we created, we saved, we deleted, but we have not done updating. This morning, we did updating. This was step 1 of our project. Step 2, after the break, we subclassed UITabBarController. Okay? The reason why we subclassed UITabBarController, the TabBarController will be the one to create that data persistence instance, and it will inject the instance into our first tab view controller and our second tab view controller. Everybody with me? So both tabs have the same instance to the same data persistence property. Okay? And the reason we're doing that is for step 3 of our demo. Step 3, we'll create a custom delegation object on our data persistence class to observe changes. If I delete an item, my second tab will get notified of that deletion. And what will it do? It will add that item into its table view. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay? So on to step 3. Let's do step 3 here. So we'll go over to our persistence helper class here, our data persistence class, and we'll create our protocol. Before we go back and forth here, I want to review real quickly what the flow of delegation looks like. I'll Slack this document out to us, but I just want to go over this real quickly. So what do we want to do? We want to go to object B. In our case, what's object B? Object B is our data persistence class. On that object, we want to create a protocol. We'll call the protocol data persistence delegate. Data persistence delegate will have one function for now called delete item or something like that nature. And we'll have our step 2 here, which will have some weak delegate, a weak reference to whoever is setting themselves as the delegate. It will have a weak reference saying weak var delegate, data persistence delegate, and wherever we're doing the deletion in our data persistence class, right, we have a delete item there, we will set the delegate with the delete item. Okay? Step 1, 2, 3, we are doing in our data persistence class. Everybody? Okay? Moving on to object A here, which is the view controller listening. This will be our completed tab controller. Everybody? The completed tab controller will be listening for changes. So what does it need to do? It needs an instance, step 4. It needs an instance of the data persistence. We have that. It's going to have an instance of data persistence. So it will register itself. It will say data persistence.delegate, right? And when there's changes, it will conform to the data persistence delegate. When there's changes, it will get the item that was removed. And the item that was removed will add that item into the table view. Yes? Cool? So this is where we headed. Those are the steps here. Everybody has access to that document, right? Yes? Okay, awesome. So let's continue on. So let's go to step 1 here, custom delegation. Stop me if there's any questions whatsoever as we go through this. I'm in my persistence helper class, and I am creating step 1. We're creating custom delegation here. And what are we doing? This is defining the protocol. Okay. Step 1, I need to define some protocol. And keep in mind, our protocol will have only one method, but a protocol could have initializers. A protocol could have variables, not constants. It could have variables. Those variables could be both setters and getters, or both, right? Well, set a getter or getter, and also have initializers. No implementation whatsoever, okay? So let's go ahead and set up our protocol. So protocol, we said it will be called data persistence delegate. And it needs to be of any object because it needs to be a class type in order for us to break the retain cycle on it with our weak var delegate. Okay? And here we say we declare in a function called did delete item did delete item, and using convention from Apple, we'll have a persistence. Let me rename persistence helper for now here, and of type data persistence. And with our generic type, it's a type T, and we need the item that was deleted. Okay, for now we have one function. We could add many functions later, but for now we're just trying to get to that delete item. And again, with Apple convention, you always see the type of object as the first argument, because we went over table views, we went over collection views, it's the same thing. Because if you have multiple data persistence or multiple table views, how do you differentiate between it? If you have a did delete item getting called on all those, how do you differentiate? You have to differentiate using the type itself. Okay? So try to pass in the type as you create your protocol methods. So this is step one. Any questions about syntax or anything here? Yeah. It needs to be any object. In other words, it needs to be a class type. Because it needs to be a class type because later, when we say weak var, we are breaking the strong retain cycle with the weak keyword, and that doesn't work with structs, right? That only works with reference types. So let's move on. Step two, what do we have here? Private let, private var. We have, let's create it right here. Step two, custom delegation, defining a delegate property, or defining a reference property that will be registered as the object listening for notifications. And what does that look like? We have a weak variable. We'll name it delegate. Again, here you could call the thing anything you want. I could call it data persistence delegate, right? But we'll just call it delegate. And it's of type protocol method type, and it's an optional. Why is it an optional? Because the thing could be nil. Like we've seen with table views, collection views, the delegate doesn't have to be set at any point, so we mark it as an optional. It's not an optional anymore, or it's not nil anymore when we set the delegate on that object. So when we say data persistence.delegate equals self, it's no longer nil, okay? So this is step two. Step three, anybody could point me as to where I should do step three. Where am I implementing step three? We could take a look at the document if we don't have it. I'll slack it out or I'll keep it up here. So step three, if we go to step three here. Step three, where do we do step three? In the what? All right, anybody else? Where do we do step three? Where would I do step three? I'm setting up my custom delegation. I want to notify the person listening to changes when I delete something, where do I put that delegate dot did delete item? Ian? Okay. So we did step 1, we did step 2. Where do we execute step 3? Matt? Like, where would you want to, where is that action happening? Where are you doing that action that you want to notify the person about? In the delete, right? As Tiffany and Amini says, in the delete function, right, is where I want to notify people about a deletion, right? When I delete the item, what is my function called? My function is called, my protocol function is called did delete item, right? Does it make sense to do it in the save? No, we're not deleting in the save, right? We're deleting in that delete function. This is where you want to set your delegate object, right? This is where you want to tell your delegate object, hey, go ahead and call my delete function. Let's go to the delete here. So in my delete function right here, this is the perfect place and the only place that I could add the function to notify my delegate object, like, hey, something was deleted. Here's the thing that was deleted. This is very important to grasp, right? Because the whole point of delegation is to notify somebody about some event, right? If we're doing did save, where would we put delegate that did save? In the save function, right? Very good. We only have one public save function, right? Wherever we're actually doing the save part of it. So let's see, save, save, save. Create item, sorry, create item. We could put it right here, like we could put it right here. Okay, because we have the item, we have access to the item. We could just, because back in save, we don't have access to item. That's very important as well, right? Because if you're saving the item, you want to pass back that item that was saved. Cool? So like really knowing, because right now you're the architects of your delegate, right? You need to ask yourself, where is that place I will say delegate dot, whatever function I want to call, okay? Without that, delegation is already one of those complex design patterns in iOS. And on top of that, you as the architect of that delegate needs to know where to do things, right? And if you say did delete, let's talk about naming conventions as well. You really want to have your function name as a verb. Something happened. Did select, right? Did remove, will remove, right? Did delete with error. Same way Apple has the delegate methods, you want to use those practices. Did, will, right? Those things, those action words there. Okay? Yes? Any questions about that? So our did delete item is a protocol. We will call that function where we are deleting. So let's go to our delete function. And right here, because we know everything went fine here at this point, we will say delegate dot did delete. And we pass in self, and we pass in the item. But how do we get the item? I need the item. How do I get the item? We're missing one piece of information. We need to give that person the item. So you're like, you got here, you're coding, you're like, oh, I need the item. How do I get the item? Yes, we could use the index path. Very good, Chelsea and Greg. So we need the item. Let's get the item. We'll just say let deleted item equal to items index path or index. And here we have deleted item. Great. So at this point we've done, well, let me name this to step 3 here. I saw a hand. Ooh, where did that come from? Yes, sir.
Doesn't the remove function return the item?
The remove function. This is it, right? items that remove. This guy? Items that remove. Oh, you mean like just get the item from this? Yeah, we could do that. Sorry, just saw what you said there. So we could do let deleted item equal to this, and we still have our deleted item. Oh, I was doing my step 3. 1 second, I'm coming right back, Tiff. Let's just copy this here. And 1 second, step 3. So what's your question, Eric? And then we'll come back to see what's happening there. What's your question?
You wrote that deleted item gives you items that remove, right? Are you no longer actually removing it?
This line here? This line removes it, but what Cameron is saying is it returns. It returns the removed item. Remember we said this discardable result earlier? This here doesn't give us a warning. Like if I remove that line of code, I do not get a warning on line 113 because the API has a discardable result. It ignores, like, it's up to me to use the item if I want, right? But if we option click on remove here, if we option click on remove, it returns the element. Do you see that? It returns the element.
Oh, so you instead of writing it twice, just make it equal to that. So you'll remove it anyway, you capture it and then use it.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's what our update does. It's very similar. It discards the return. So it's up to us to say, hey, we want to use the item. Okay? That's why we don't get a warning. Very good. Okay. Awesome. And so we have that here. Let me put that back here. Build, make sure we have no errors. And this is step 3, custom delegation. What are we doing here? Use delegate reference to notify observer of deletion. No. It has 2 arguments, right? Let's see. I'll come right back. Let's see. So here we have did delete item. We have a persistence helper type data persistence, and we have an item type T, and we have angle bracket type T, right? And back in our did delete, back in our did delete. Back in our delete item here. Yulia, how you doing? What's that? Okay, good. Everybody, how we doing?
So after that means that after we delete, it should persist. That was the result of that, right?
What we just did?
Yeah.
Oh, that has nothing to do with persistence. That has to do with notifying
Notify who?
the view controller.
And then when it notifies the view controller, why is it notifying the view controller? If it doesn't do that, what's the difference?
Our persistence works, correct? But now we want to let our second tab know that something was removed.
Okay, so we haven't got it.
No, exactly. But now we set up our class such that anybody could register themselves as a delegate and listen for changes on delete.
Okay. And so we're gonna have a completed,
Exactly.
then we want to listen to.
Exactly. Exactly. Very good. Who thought I was jumping through the window? All right. How are we doing? Step 1 to 3. Any questions before we move on? Step 2. right? This guy. We created a weak reference to the delegate object. It needs to be a weak reference to the delegate object because when my view controller says I'm registering as the delegate, I don't want to create a strong reference there because my view controller has a strong reference already to the object, right? Yes. So we say weak to break the reference cycle. Let's write that in. So we use weak to break a strong reference cycle between the delegate object and the data persistence. Okay, very good. So step one, we're good with, right? So we satisfied that we could create any functions we want. So if you were to create a save, for example, you would use the same model, just call the thing did save item, right? You could do did update, did save. At the end of the day, the reason why we really love delegation, for example, in iOS is like typical example yesterday. He was asking a question like, hey, does text view have this did whatever, like when somebody finishes typing stuff in the text view? Yes, there's some way to know that. So the more ways your user of your object could get notified of certain events, the better. So you want to have a did save, but right now we're not going to write it, but you could have a did save as well.
You should technically have a bit of that.
Yes, exactly. Also, you could have a did end with error as well, like if there's errors there. So instead of like throwing errors, you could have delegation is awesome. Okay, so now we did step 2, we did step 3. Any more questions with 1, 2, 3 before we move on? And really keep this useful, this document useful here as you build your own custom delegations. With the photo journal, for example, when you have some cell, you select some item, how do you get that back to the view controller? All right, so let's go to Tiffany's question about actually notifying the completed tab. Let's go back to our tab controller. Let's go back to our tab controller. In our tab controller, first off, verify that your completed schedule controller, make sure that your completed schedule controller has line 19. Make sure you have an instance to a data persistence property. Completed schedule controller. Because we'll try to say schedule.data persistence and we'll be like, oh, there's nothing there. So make sure you have that data persistence variable. Okay? Good? All right, let's move back to our tab controller subclass. And right on our controller, completed controller, let's say data persistence dot persistence dot delegate equals self. Sorry, not self. Completed controller. We'll come back to that later. We'll fix that. Wait. Yes. Question.
We did that right above the return.
I'm in the tab subclass, tab controller subclass. We'll have an error because we haven't conformed to it. The top of this. Okay. I'm in the tab controller subclass.
Yeah, I don't think I was missing the.
Oh, it's not called recently completed control, you may change
We did it before lunch, yes. Oscar, what exactly we're looking for?
You said you want like a reference.
Oh, step 13?
Yeah, or actually line 19.
Line 19.
On the computer. Oh, that was a different view control, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about the second tab now. Okay, so this is step 4, custom delegation. We set the object, right? So step 4, set delegate. Okay, so build, we have one error. Let's go fix that error. Go back to your completed schedule controller. At the very end, let's extend our completed schedule controller and conform to data persistence delegate and did delete. At the end of our completed schedule controller, write an extension that extends your completed schedule controller. It conforms to data persistence delegate, and type in did delete and press enter, and it will auto-complete for you. So type in did delete and press enter. Okay, and here we'll have a print statement, say something like deleted item was deleted. We'll just put a simple print statement here to verify. Before we do anything else, we'll see if it works. I'm here. It has nothing? What do you mean?
No, it's saying, it's telling me that can I have some values to type that persistence, okay, to type that persistence delegate.
Where are you? What file?
I'm in the schedule tab.
You're in the schedule tab controller.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no.
How are we doing? Can we test?
Where is that extension?
At the bottom of completed schedules controller. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the item, this was the, so, alright, so we make the complete controller dot delegate equal to the controller.
Yes, yeah. To itself. But we can say self here. Self would refer to the tab bar controller. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Very good. Okay, let's test this. Delegate object. Yes. Exactly. All right, let's test this out. Everybody run our application. Yes. Awesome. Very good. How we doing? Let's add some items here. Everybody. Just add a bunch of items. There should be like a random button items, right? Who creates that? Okay. Do not click on the completed tab yet. Okay? That's going to compromise our test. delete, we should see item was deleted at the bottom. Did we see that? Yes, Shania? Did you see item was deleted at the bottom of your console as you swipe? That's fine. We're going to test. I'm sorry?
Why did you say it'll compromise the test? Because I might have went over that.
That's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, let's come back again. Let's go through the steps because I got a couple of people that said they did not see item was deleted. So let's test it again. I'm going all the way back from the top. I'm going back to my tab controller, not my tab controller. I'm going to my persistence helper, Mr. Oscar, right? Step 1, right beneath your enum, do you have a protocol called data persistence? Very important, right? If we don't set our delegate, we know what happens. But I want to start again from the top. Step 1, create your protocol. Step 2, create your reference to that delegate, right? Or what that delegate is there is a reference to whoever is listening to it. Step 3, wherever you want to be notified, whatever function you want to be notified or sent out to your delegate, that's where you say delegate that did select. In that example, I go to my delete. On line 118, this is where I say, Mr. Delegate, this is the function, this is the deleted item, okay? That delegate property here, it gets changed to whoever set it. So the delegate object becomes the completed schedule view controller. Everybody with me? This is important to know. The delegate object on 118 is that completed controller. Because the completed controller says, I am listening. So the delegate gets replaced. Think about it like a placeholder, or think about it like a reference to that controller. And that controller has a did delete function. Everybody with me? On the controller, it has a did delete item function. Okay? Back in our tab controller, we set our delegate. The completed controller said, I am the one. I want to listen to changes from that data persistence delegate. So it says completed controller data persistence delegate equal to completed controller. We're not going to say self here. What does self refer to? If we say self here, the class, right? It will refer to the tab controller. That's not what we want. We want it to refer to the controller, the completed controller. Very good. Very good. That's why I say, like, not every time it has to be self here. Like, I could have my data source, I could have my delegate, a whole different object, right? So when you start seeing your view controller gets big, and you have 6 functions on a delegate, take that out and make it its own object, okay? And then that object will be the thing that you set it to, okay? This is exactly what we're doing here. Somebody else is the one here, not self. Next. Self always refers to the thing you're in.
Granted, so that when we're in that, we're in data systems. So data systems has, okay, that's the reference that it has to.
That you see here, when it says controller.data persistence.delegate, now that delegate question mark is this is a reference to this controller.
Right. I mean, in the data persistence delegate, right?
In the data persistence delegate, okay.
And the class, in the class is where we do the function.
Talk to me. Where am I? What function am I looking at?
The did delete.
I'm right there.
Self. The self that it's referring to is the class.
The self here is the data persistence class. Yes. Okay.
And that's why we put weak, because it's made a reference when it's itself.
The reason why we put weak is because we want to break the restore and reference cycle between the data persistence object and the view controller.
And this is the data persistence object.
The self, yes.
Okay.
Yes, very good. There's a next question there, or is it Oscar? Do you have a print? Do you have a breakpoint? All right. Okay, let's get back. So, our protocol works. We confirmed our protocol works because we have a print statement, correct? Awesome. Now, let's keep going. What's the next step here? So, if we go back to our completed here, what do we want to do? What action? Somebody walk me through. What do we want to do here? What do I want to do with that item? Item was deleted. What do I want to do? My thing is called completed events. What do I want to do here? I want to put it in here. I want to put it in that table view here, correct? So what does that guy need? He needs his own persistence instance. Because no longer will they be using the same bucket, right? Everybody with me? Everybody with me? So let's go create a new instance in this class here. It's going to be private. I'll keep it above here like this. It's going to be private. We'll call it completed events persistence. And we assign it to data persistence. It's still an event. And here, the file name, we could call it completed events.plist build. Good. Right? This is different. This is a different place you save in, right? This one saves to schedules.plist. Yes? And the other one just saves to completed events. Two different places.
Oh, so we just,
Two different files.
I thought we were doing it as a this is just like it's finished.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir. You could use it, you could make a next property. No, you could do things. But here we just keep it simple.
I was wondering if you could just change the name of the file that you saved to, but they're initialized.
Yeah, it's already initialized. You don't want to, yeah. All the things you could do, you could create properties like is completed. You could have a bool and switch it, but it's just going to take more work on our part. But yes, you could do other things there. But we'll just keep it simple, different file. Cool? Because we could probably have a button that says clear completed, right? And you just like delete the whole thing. We good? Can we continue? All right, cool. So let us keep going here. Back to our extension here on our data persistence delegate. We are good with this print statement. We could take it out. What do we want to do here? So first, something was deleted, so we want to add it or persist it. Persist item to completed events persistence. And then we want to load or reload completed items array. So first, let's do the first thing. So here we have a completed persistence. We will say create item. And this is a do catch print error creating item error. So here we persisted the item to completed events. Item, gonna convert to type T. Event equal to item as event and event. We need to let type T know what type of item it is at this point. Great, so next step is reloading the completed array. Do we have a reload function? Reload items. Okay. So first, persist the item that was removed, we add it to our completed persistence store. And now we need to reload. The function is incomplete, we need to fix it. But now we need to reload, basically reload the table view.
How can we have to, make item that?
Because now the T doesn't know what type it is.
Gotcha. And we can't do that inside of the parentheses, but it's a bit.
We could. You could. I'll put it to do, actually it doesn't matter. Keep in mind that the save is important. We might not get to the save right now, but keep in mind you could, the protocol function we have did delete, did save. But if you do use the data persistence Swift package manager, it has a did save already for your, if you want to use it for your photo journal, for example. In photo journal, we could just import data persistence if you want to use that. The code in your delegate is not getting called. Which one?
Like this information is not.
Aaron, can you double check Chelsea's computer? What I saw earlier with somebody else's, the debug console was closed. So make sure that debug console, I'll just use a breakpoint and see what's going on. Yes, sir.
I'm getting a redundant conformance of completely.
Redundant conformance. Mr. Antonio, we got a redundant conformance by our guitarist here. Multiple chords being played. Okay, how are we doing? Can we continue? Okay, let's go to load. Let's go to load completed items and see how that function is doing. There's no code here. What happened? We need to write code. Code here. What code are we writing? We need to get items from the persistent store. So let's do that. Do catch, and we have an array called completed events, and we have a persistent store called completed events persistence, and we'll say load items. And this is a try. And here we will say error loading completed events, error build,
Oh, yeah.
do we have? Okay. And right where we have our completed items, let's go ahead and reload our table view. So when completed items get set here, our table view gets reloaded in our did set.
Are we doing the to do the persistent change?
Where am I?
Or do we do that in
1 second, I don't want to scroll down yet. What function are you talking about?
the editing style, or commit?
We'll editing style commit. That's when you delete. We'll do that later.
Oh, delete from there.
Yeah. Okay. How we doing? How we doing so far? Good? Okay, so let's run the app again. So far, so good. Okay. We have our did set with our reload data, correct? Yes? Hola. Let's run it. Chelsea, I'll help you right after. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's add some more events here. Dictation. Not now, man. Okay. So add this, delete it. Boom. Crash. Okay. What's happening here? Our code works correctly, but why does it crash? Why does it crash? Yulia? Why does my code crash here on line 15? Shania? It persisted, but what is it trying to do? Oscar?
I think you have specified self, right?
Not self. We're not in a synchronous call. What does the error say?
Explicitly, unexpectedly, sorry.
Exclusive. This is.
So what would the option of the option value of the table be?
The table view is what? Is it nil or does it have a value?
It has a value.
The table view has a value, right? That's what you're saying, right? Let's see. Everybody, open up the self variable there. In our debug area, open up self. What's the table view's value? The table view is nil, correct? I've seen those errors many times. We are trying to, what? Because you clicked it first. You clicked on that second tab probably. That's the only way this works. Other than that, our table view hasn't loaded. Our view controller hasn't loaded in memory, right? Everybody, this is very important. The table view is not loaded yet. The outlet is still nil, okay? So we're trying to load a table view that's nil because it never got into memory, okay? The outlets were never set. It's very similar to in your prepare for segue. I've seen people try to set outlets in prepare for segue. If you do that, the app will crash. Because those outlets, the view is not on screen yet. It's not even on screen. It hasn't loaded yet. So those outlets are nil. So we want to protect ourselves here. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's take this line out. The table view is about to reload because we have something adding to it. Exactly. So table view is nil.
So when you had us do it before, and I went over to the other side, did it saw it or something?
Yeah, if you click on that tab, it's loaded in memory. The table view is no longer nil. All right, so let's just protect ourselves there real quickly. So we'll say get let table view equal to table view else my man return else just table view dot. Okay. We're just making sure that the table view, before you reload the table view, just make sure it exists. If it exists, go ahead and reload it. If it doesn't exist, nothing happens. Okay? Let's run and test it again. Let's just delete this guy. I delete my T, I go over to completed, and T is there, right? Okay? Let's try it again. Stop the app. Run it again. Add some items. Add some more items. Delete. Go over to completed, and it's there. Okay? So no crashes, we took care of that. Our items persist, we also took care of that. Lastly, any questions before we continue? Any questions? Yes, sir.
I feel as though I'm not doing the action where it deletes and transfers at the same time. I'm still only printing deleting dot dot.
Oh, you, back in your, is your protocol method getting called? The delete item? Okay, I'll take a look at it. Like, we're very close to the end there. I'll take a look at it. Tiffany?
Okay, so because it's a different date, the way that the date is, but that's.
The date is, that's a date formatter thing. Yeah, we're not dealing with date formatter right now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so let's see. We have to handle one more thing here. So if I delete this, does it persist? We had two, we took out, we had three, we took out two. We had three, we took out one. We should have two. We still have three. So that doesn't persist. The completed, like when you delete something from it, it doesn't persist. It persisted for you. Does it persist for people if you delete an item here?
Yes.
It persisted?
Yeah.
So I deleted, and I run again. Double check.
Delete from the schedule?
Delete from the completed tab. Okay, all right, so let's take care of that, and I think we're very close to wrapping it up. Very good. Let's go over to where we actually deleting the item. Yeah, so here, we have a to-do. So back in our completed controller, we have a to-do item, persist the change. So let's go ahead and persist the change. I'm back in the completed controller. I'm in the commit editing style, in the completed schedule controller. And I want to persist the change. Be careful here. On the completed events persistence, remove, delete, item, index, row. And here we could just put in some print statement. Error, deleted, completed, task. Okay, so that should persist the change. We removed it already, that's fine, but that should persist the change. Let's test it out. And we'll do one more thing, and then we will wrap it up. So, what do we have here? I want to delete F, and delete this, and stop, run again, and go back to my completed tab, and now I should have only one item. Yes? All right. Next step is one more thing here. When I swipe to delete, I want to change the delete to completed. Okay? Instead of delete, I want it to say completed. So we'll go back to the first view controller, the schedule list controller. We'll go back to schedule list controller. We will set our delegate object in our view did load. We have already, great. Go back to right after did select, right after that last function, did select here. Type in title 4. Type in my first controller, in my schedule list controller, type in title 4 and press enter. What does this do? So it says title 4 deletion. Awesome. You could just return some string. So return completed. Run again. And now when we swipe, we have completed. Okay? Swipe, and it's over here. Cool? Awesome. So with the power of many things today, we got our app working, and it's good to go. Any questions about anything we've done so far today? Again, to recap, we did subclassing UITabBarController, we did persisting updating, and we concluded with custom delegation. So Chelsea's app is ready to go. Because back in Unit 2, Chelsea's like, how do we save? Right? So Unit 4, now you have your completed app, almost. You could add some UI there. See Brendan? So let's see, just to recap real quickly. In the morning, we kicked off with update event because we couldn't persist and update. We came back, we spoke about subclassing UITabBarController, and the power of subclassing UITabBarController was for us to get access to the controllers we needed to inject the data persistence in, okay? We injected it and we also set the delegate on it, okay?
To clarify, that's injecting the same instance of that?
Yes, the same instance, exactly. Because the instance got created in the TabBarController. Same instance, same class reference. One thing happens to one, everybody gets the same reference, okay? So we injected that, thank you there, Greg. And we broke for lunch, we came back and we delved into custom delegation, and we used custom delegation to notify our completed tab, hey, something got deleted. It's up to you to do something with it. My completed tab said, okay, that deleted completed item, I want to add it to my own persistent store, and I want to add it to my own table view. So we did that, and then we wrapped up our app, right? Any other questions so far? We good?
Is there a way to?
Yes, there's a way. There's always a way. That's what Cassandra said.
Is there a way to change the color for the?
I know that's where you're going. Yes, there's a way. That's what I'm saying. I know. You're the designer here. Of course you want to change the color. Change the color, put the image, all those things. There's ways to do it. Okay? Swipe the other way. Yes. Cool? Awesome. So you'll add that to your deleted collection view stuff? Or no?
Now that you know, I don't think I will.
You will do it. You see this guy? Cool. Any other questions? We good? Make as many notes as you can. This is a complete app with like a lot of principles we've learned so far, and incorporate those principles into your own photo journal. Cool? All right. So we'll end here.